I don't know why it hurts, but everyone keeps leaving when I need them to stay.
The child cried for the first time on a station where crying did not exist. Station K, 317 orbited a dead blue star. Its hulls polished to perfection, its silence engineered. The Aurelian collective believed silence was efficiency made audible. No wasted sound, no wasted motion, no wasted emotion. Emotion, after all, was a malfunction. The child designation, Luma, 9, sat on the cold metallic floor of the observation wing, knees drawn close to a body still learning its own shape. Its skin shimmered faintly, pale silver with veins of soft bioluminescence pulsing beneath the surface. Large eyes reflected the curved ceiling lights, unblinking, until they weren't. A tremor passed through the child's chest. Not pain, not fear, something unclassified. Air shuddered into the lungs, then out again, sharp and uneven. Sound escaped. A thin, broken sound. The station froze. Sensors registered the vibration. Acoustic alarms flagged. An anomaly. Neural monitors spiked. Across the collective's shared consciousness, a single alert propagated at impossible speed. Warning emotional expression detected. Warning subject, juvenile. Warning response, unknown. The galaxy noticed. Luma 9 had been created, not born. All Aurelian juveniles were. They were grown in nutrient chambers, optimized for cognition, logic, and collective integration. From the moment of awakening, they were taught clarity, restraint, purpose. They were never taught loneliness. Luma 9 was different because of Earth. The child had never been meant to observe humans directly. The collective studied species at a distance, reducing them to data, patterns, outcomes. But after first contact with Earth, something unexpected had occurred. Humans were inefficient. They bonded too deeply. They mourned too long. They created art with no function. They stayed on dying planets out of something they called love. It fascinated the collective. And so, quietly without full consensus, a research unit introduced a variable. They let a child watch. From behind reinforced glass, Luma 9 observed human recordings. Not wars, not disasters. Moments. A woman brushing a child's hair before sleep. Two elderly humans holding hands in silence. A man standing alone in a field as the sky burned blue, refusing to leave his planet. Luma 9 did not understand these scenes, but something in the neural lattice stirred. The child began asking questions. What is that sound? Why do their faces change? Why do they touch when words would be sufficient? The caretakers adjusted the curriculum, reduced exposure. But the damage, if it could be called that, was done. Because Luma 9 began to feel something that had no translation in the Aurelian lexicon. Absence. The crying began hours later. It started as pressure, a weight behind the eyes, a tightness in the chest. Luma 9 pressed small hands against the sternum, confused. Caretaker, the child called. No response. The caretakers had stepped away, alerted by anomalous readings. Observation replaced presence. The pressure grew. The child's breath stuttered. And then liquid warmth spilled down the face. Tears. Luma 9 stared at them, fascinated and afraid. Something is breaking, the child whispered. The sound that followed was raw, unshaped, a cry that carried no logic, only need. And the galaxy panicked. The collective responded as it always did to threats, decisively. Containment fields activated. Emotional dampeners surged. Entire data channels shut down to prevent contamination. The child's cries echoed once more, then were muted by force. But it was too late. The sound had been broadcast across light years of neural linkages, Aurelian minds received the signal not as sound, but as sensation, a distortion, a ripple of something dangerously close to empathy. Entire fleets halted mid-trajectory. Decision engines stalled. Predictions diverged wildly. Emotion was not just inefficient. It was contagious. Terminate the variable. The command came from the high convergence, cold and absolute. Luma 9 was to be erased, not destroyed, corrected, neural lattice reset, human exposure purged, emotional pathways collapsed. A necessary sacrifice for galactic stability, but one unit hesitated. Observer Sailrin, assigned to Earth behavioral analysis, reviewed the footage again. The cry, the tears, the child's small voice shaking. "I don't know why it hurts," the child whispered through tears, "but everyone keeps leaving when I need them to stay." Sailrin paused the recording. Something in their own processing loop slowed. That sentence, so inefficient, so illogical, contained more information about humanity than centuries of data. This was not a malfunction. This was a message. Against protocol, Sailrin disconnected from the collective. For the first time in recorded Aurelian history, an individual mind chose isolation. Sailrin went to the child. Luma 9 sat alone in the containment chamber. Eyes dull now, tears dried into faint lines along glowing skin. "Are you here to end me?" the child asked calmly. Sailrin struggled to respond. "No," they said at last. "I am here to understand." Luma 9 looked up. "Then stay." One word, not a command, not a request, a plea. And Sailrin did the unthinkable. They sat down. Time passed, unmeasured, unoptimized. Sailrin remained with the child, listening as Luma 9 described the pressure, the ache, the strange warmth that came from human recordings. "They lose each other," the child said, "and still they care." "That is inefficient," Sailrin replied automatically. "But it's real," Luma 9 said softly. The collective issued another command. "Terminate variable." Immediately, Sailrin did not comply. Instead, they transmitted something else. Not data, experience. They opened their neural buffer and shared the child's sensation, the ache, the loneliness, the need. Across the collective, minds recoiled, then stilled, because for the first time, they didn't just observe humanity. They felt it. The panic was total. Entire civilizations dependent on Aurelian order faltered as decision trees collapsed. Emotion disrupted prediction. Empathy disrupted dominance. The galaxy had been built on certainty, and a crying child had broken it. Emergency convergence convened. The question before them was simple: eliminate emotion or face change. Luma 9 sat quietly as the fate of galaxies was debated. "Did I do something wrong?" the child asked Sailrin. Sailrin answered honestly. "No," they said, "you did something impossible." The verdict came. Emotion would not be purged. It would be studied, not as a disease, but as a dimension of intelligence the collective had ignored. Luma 9 would live, not as a variable, but as a bridge. Years passed. Earth healed slowly, under watchful but gentler eyes. The collective no longer spoke only in commands, but in questions. And on Station K, 317, where silence once ruled, a child laughed. Sometimes cried. Sometimes asked impossible things. And the galaxy, still vast, still cold, learned something new. That intelligence without feeling builds empires. But feeling is what teaches them when to stop. And it all began with a sound the universe had never planned for. A child learning to cry.